But Snape has one of the most specific descriptions of any character in the series. He is described to be an ugly man with pale, sallow skin, long greasy black hair, crooked yellow teeth, and a large hooked nose.
I don't have a problem with race swapping characters just as a principle. I think that there are situations where such a thing isn't problematic. But there are some situations where I do feel like it's either done distastefully, or it's a money grab, or it's a rage bait kind of situation, or it just doesn't make sense based on the source material. So, major development going on in Hollywood land. They've officially casted a black man, an African man, it sounds like, a man of African descent. Papa Isidu has now been cast as Severus Snape in the Harry Potter series. And, of course, people are very upset about this. And I want to listen to this video right here. It's done by a guy who doesn't sound like a raging conservative, because we already know how the right is going to react to this. And I don't always think it's unjustified when people on the right take issue with fictional characters being recasted as other races, especially when it looks and feels like a ploy to just get more people to come and watch the movie or create controversy. I do think there are times when conservatives, because it's really just people on the right, and it's usually just white people, I do think there are times when the anger is a little unwarranted, particularly in situations where the character's race really does not matter at all to the lore, to the story. It was never specified or given any significance in the source material. But there are situations where a person's race or skin complexion or whatever the case may be was clearly, purposefully chosen for the narrative, for the story, for a specific purpose. And it sounds as if this is one of those situations where Severus Snape, if you've ever watched Harry Potter, this is someone who you, of course, would be very familiar with, this character right here. His appearance was not an accident. It was not insignificant. And so we have a situation here where it feels as if some kind of injustice is being done to the source material for the sake of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so let's go ahead and take a listen to this video right here, because this dude, he seems to be kind of in the middle in terms of political
So it's officially
leanings.
official. Papa Isidu has been cast as Severus Snape in the HBO Harry Potter TV series. This is obviously shocking to a lot of fans because HBO and Warner Brothers said that their goal was to make the most book-accurate TV series that they could, even more than the movies. I'll start off by saying that I have full faith in this series overall, and am so excited for it. Whatever decision they make for the casting is not going to change that, and whoever they do cast, no matter who they are or what they look like, they have my full support. I will be rooting for all of the actors through and through, and will always be going in with an open mind. However, I'm going to share the thoughts I have in the here and now. I shouldn't be hiding my thoughts and opinions and sort of lying about them just because I worry about how people will react to my thoughts. As a massive Harry Potter fan though, my opinion is my opinion. When this casting was a rumor, I felt that as a white male, I couldn't say anything bad about the casting. Naturally though, people wanted my thoughts on it given what I do as a career, just talk about Harry Potter. After 3 days of thinking of something to say, I came up with the idea that this casting would be good because Papa will be so different from Alan Rickman's portrayal that they won't be compared. Because let's be honest, no one's gonna live up to Alan Rickman. I stand by that statement. I think that will be a positive. But honestly, as a Harry Potter fan, I do not like this casting overall. Snape is very clearly described to be a white man in every single book. It would be one thing if they race swap someone like Lavender Brown, who has no physical description. But Snape has one of the most specific descriptions of any character in the series. He is described to be an ugly man with pale, sallow skin, long greasy black hair, crooked yellow teeth, and a large hooked nose. And his appearance isn't just there for the sake of being there.
And when you take a look at the guy who was originally casted as Severus Snape, and by the way, I've watched every Harry Potter movie. I watched the entire series growing up as a kid. It was one of the first like multiple series movies that I ever got into. And so I'm a big fan. You know, it's been a few years now, plenty of years actually, since I've watched it. But here we have the original actor. His name is Alan Rickman. And this guy fits that description. Now, he's not the ugliest white man I've ever seen, but he's also no model either. And you know, the long, greasy hair, the hook nose, the big hook nose, and I think it's okay to say that because he's not a Jew. I'm assuming, at least. And so, yeah, man, he fits the description pretty well. And so when it is the case that he is so vividly described in the source material, I can't help but side with the fans of the series who want things to stay as true to the source material as possible.
Appearance is a large part of his character, affecting how he's treated and how others look and perceive him. And how they look at and perceive him is not because of the color of his skin. And looking at the series as a whole, I would be just as upset.
And that's true, even though he is a white man and we live in a world where white is right? I remember seeing him on the screen for the first time and thinking, that's a bad guy. And so that's what they're going for. Is that what we're supposed to say when we see this black man now? Just at first glance, he looks like a bad guy. I'll be honest, the actor that they chose, he doesn't really give that vibe. This is really the most ominous picture I could find at a glance. And yeah, it just doesn't give off intimidating vibes. The most, I guess, ugly feature about this guy is his horrible razor bump condition. That's terrible, man. Guys like this can't shave. Look, it's a black man struggle. I can't shave either. I got to use electric trimmer. If I use a razor blade, I'll get razor bumps too. But yeah, just a side by side here. This dude just seems a lot more intimidating than this guy right here, just off of facial features. You know, if you're going to cast a black guy, he's got to give off the same intimidating, scary look to him. If at least you want to make the argument that this isn't just a race swap for the sake of race swapping.
And looking at the series as a whole, I would be just as upset, if not more upset, if they made Kingsley Shacklebolt, Dean Thomas, Lee Jordan, or Angelina Johnson white. That would probably break my heart more than them making Snape black, because I know those characters resonated so much with black fans and made them feel welcome to this amazing series. And plain and simple, we don't need to be doing
And I think that's a valid perspective as well. When you know that there is a movie series, a franchise that has a lot of visibility, very popular, and there are almost no black people acting, when you do have a few iconic black characters, it is very egregious to then whitewash them as well. We already know that black people are pretty underrepresented when it comes to media, especially the big blockbuster stuff. You know, you usually have your 1 and 2 token characters, and it is improving, clearly. Obviously, as time goes on, it is improving. So I'm just saying, I like that statement he just gave.
We don't need to be changing the race of characters. Harry Potter is already incredibly diverse. In the world of Harry Potter, there are characters that are black, Asian, Indian, gay, trans, and so on. People say it's just a fictional character, why does it matter? But Harry Potter is a huge part of my life and has been since I was a child reading these books with my late grandmother. So naturally, Snape and all of the other characters mean so much to me, and I know that thousands out there have the same opinion. I see a lot of people saying that Snape being black doesn't matter because it doesn't affect his character or the story. The thing is though, it really does. Making Snape black raises several issues. If we look at his character, you're making a black man now come from a very poor area that is less privileged. You're making a black man be talked down to by white people because of where he comes from. And most of all, you're making a black man join a gang of criminals. A black man coming from poverty, being a criminal, and joining a gang. When you break it down,
that's actually an excellent point. If this was the very first casting ever, and they chose to make it a black man, the argument could be made that we would have black outrage saying, oh, wow, look, you cast a black man for this iconic series and you made him this guy, the dude from the lower income community that ends up being a bad guy and joining a gang. That is very true. That's how it would be interpreted. I am reminded of similar criticisms I heard in regards to that movie Wicked, where the villain, of course, was played by a black woman. So it's an interesting point to make. I think it's a valid one, too.
It's clear that there's a problem with this casting. You're almost rebranding Snape into something that he's not. Clearly, Snape is the last person in the series to race swap because it translates horribly. This is the type of stereotype that companies and executives try very hard to steer clear of these days. But by casting Papa, they actually add a stereotype that didn't need to be there. When Snape was white, these things don't have the same effect they do for a black kid. We then have the dynamic of
Definitely.
Snape bullying a bunch of white kids, which could make him seem racist, especially when you throw in the fact that he called another white woman the worst, I guess you could say, racial slur you can call somebody in the Wizarding world. Having a black man call a Muggle-born a mudblood right to their face sort of negates the actual meaning of the word in the series, which was meant to shine a light on racism against black people in the real world.
That's
and
true.
Making Snape black also affects the dynamics of other characters as well. The Marauders are now a group of white kids that torment and bully a black kid. This dangles the idea that Harry's father is racist, which is not something that should be thrown into the mix of his already very complicated character. And it could also add the idea that Lily chose a white man over a black man. This casting is also just not smart from a business point of view, because many people are already skeptical of this show. As I've gone over, this casting has upset me solely from the point of view of a die-hard Harry Potter fan. But while I view it from a fan's point of view, there are many out there that will dislike this casting for other reasons, which honestly is a real shame. Either way though, this casting is going to make a lot of people say, screw this show, before it even starts. And one of the saddest parts about this is that no matter how well Papa Essiadu plays Snape, he's now subjected to 10 years of scrutiny simply because Warner Brothers made the decision to change a character's race. It's
Right.
honestly kind of unfair to Essiadu. Again, after making this video,
I mean, he has to know that. Going into this, he has to know that this was going to be the reaction. So I would imagine he's prepared for it.
I will not speak on this casting again, because as I said, I'm supporting every actor they cast for this show, no matter who they are or what they look like. I'm very excited to see what Essiadu does with this very complicated character,
Right.
and I'm eager to see this version of Snape, even if it isn't what I had initially hoped for. I feel like a lot of people might get mad at me for making this video, but I think I've made it.
Yeah, man, you can't worry about that. But that's how I feel about it. I don't have a problem with race swapping characters just as a principle. I think that there are situations where such a thing isn't problematic. But there are some situations where I do feel like it's either done distastefully, or it's a money grab, or it's a rage bait kind of situation, or it just doesn't make sense based on the source material. I think this is one of those situations. But you let me know in the comment section down below what you think about this whole situation. Thank you for watching, and until next time, peace out.